Hi everyone, we are taking a viewer suggestion and creating a Super Mario Brothers Princess Daisy themed tutu dress. And as you can see here, we're using some shimmering yellow, the vibrant yellow tool, and our shimmering orange tool. And it can be called shimmering, shiny, glimmer. It just depends where you purchase it from, but basically what you're looking for is shiny, not matte. And we're going to create the crocheted top using some crochet by the yard. And it's not as hard as it sounds. I believe I have a tutorial that you can take a look at. And if not, leave it in the comment section and I'll make one on how you can do it by hand. I find it easier than using the machine. Alright, so we're going to create this Princess Daisy. Her primary colors are the yellow, and then we're going to make the poofs with the shimmering orange and maybe accent it with a daisy and go from there. One thing I did want to mention, we found some couture daisy premium tulle, and we're going to create another tutorial for you guys to see that in effect, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot shorter than this one. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to make it a bit longer, so we're going to do, and remember, when you're measuring, you're going to double the length because you're going to put it in half when you are doing your slip knot method. Alright, so I'm at 24. We're going to do it at 28 inches. So we've got our 24, and then it's going to end up being between 14 and 15 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it at the 4. So we've got 24 and then 4. Makes 28 inches, fold it in half, and you got 14 inches. And we're also going to stagger it just a little bit so that it's sort of layered more. Now, take a look at this. This is the folded edge. Okay, you definitely don't want to cut against the grain because it will end up turning out to be a big mess, like pantyhose that have been worn way too much or have been put in the washer instead of the delicate cycle. And then they're useless or they don't hold well, especially them control top ones. Okay, so now we're going to fold it. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you bring the edges together, especially this folded side, as much as possible. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. Now, I like to just trim it so that way I get 2 pieces, but if you don't want to do that, then you're going to cut half of the width on this folded side. So if normally it's this way, this width, you're going to do half of that because this is folded over. Alright, so we're going to bring it together. And if you're having trouble with static or cleanliness, anything like that, you can also use a good water or spring water, distilled water. 3 parts that and 1 part fabric softener of your choice. Put it in a spray bottle, and it'll help take care of wrinkles and static cling. Alright, so we've got it folded nice. Okay. You take your rotary cutter. If you don't have one, you can use your scissors, that's fine. And then cut the width that you want.
These can have side effects. Headaches, depression, blurry vision. Any of that sound familiar?
Now, I'm going to show you real quick. We're going to do the pixie cut. Others call it the angled cut, but that's entirely up to you. And you can also do the petal cut where it's rounded at the bottom. But for this tutorial, we're just going to do the angled pixie cut. I'm going to bring the edges together as close as possible so you don't lose that length that you're going for. You can stack them together, and by doing that, it'll cut down on your overall cut time. And you can do a whole bunch of these and then bring them together, it just works out easier for me to just do it
Even your brain. You could cause some serious damage.
All this from a rose?
Yes.
per piece, per big piece. All right, cut it at an angle. See, it makes it nice and clean. Put it to the side. Do the rest of your cutting.
The good news is that it's easy to treat. So more medication, if
Okay.
it's resolved, will clear it up.
And
All right,
do the
switch.
same thing that we did a moment ago. Bring those edges together
As I said, a side effect
and
of blood pressure medication.
cut at an angle, or you can round the edges if you're doing the petal effect, or you can leave it as is if you've got a nice clean cut. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut just a little bit to make sure that I get that folded area. Get rid of that. Now I have two pieces, the width that I want, instead of one folded over piece. And it doesn't mess up the stretch. Alright, so I'll finish cutting this. We'll start placement, and then I'll show you the accent tool that we're using, which is the shimmering orange for the princess look. Now we're going to do the staggered effect. So you're going to take your piece of tulle, you're going to fold it in half, and then where you're staggering it basically is you're going to have one tail a little longer than the other. And that's it. That's the staggered effect. You know, real fancy. Now what I like to do is go back to my seam. And we'll do that in just one moment. Okay. All right, let's see if you can see that. Now, I showed you the staggered effect. Now we're going to do one thing different right here at the seam. Okay? I'm going to undo it, and I'm going to run it through the crocheted holes. The one closest to the seam, and then I'm going to bring it out through the hole that is closest to the opposite side of the seam. If I can get it through the hole in the first place. Grr. Okay. So we're going to just pull it through. And let me tell you, this works really well in making sure that if you hand sew this, that tool also acts like a vice grip on that seam that you made yourself. Okay? Just in case you might have a few mishaps, you've got your tool here to make sure that the seam does not come undone. I'm pretty sure your seams will be fine, but just a little added protection, and that's it. Okay? All we're doing is we're just tying it one time. That's what it looks like. Now we're going to do again what I originally showed you. That's folding your tulle in half and having one tail piece a little longer than the other. The length of one versus the other is entirely up to you and the look you're going for. You're going to pick your crocheted hole. Remember not to start at the very, very bottom on this thin line, because this thin thread can break on you and can mess up your entire tutu top. Right, so we're going to fold it in half, stagger it if we want, and then we're going to squish this top part as much as we can to make it easier to work with as you're trying to take it and put it through that crocheted hole. Right? Put it through the hole, bring it out right below it, or it'll be a little catty corner in some instances. Pull it through enough so that you can work with it. Widen it with your fingers. Make sure you're not adding the extra pieces of tulle to it. Bring it through the hole and gently tug down. And that's all there is to it. All right, let's do one more. Fold it in half, stagger it, meaning have the tail pieces one a little longer than the other for that effect. Okay. Squish that top part so that way you can easily maneuver it through the crocheted hole. go to the hole right next to the one that already has the tulle piece, put the folded area through it, bring it through the hole right below it, or it may be a little catty corner to it. All right, bring out enough so that you can put your fingers through it to make a hole so the tails will easily go through. And gently tug. Remember why I keep saying gently tug, because every time you put a piece of tulle on here, and we're going to put quite a few, remember that you are in essence messing with the elasticity. You're pulling it, okay? So you don't want to end up with a totally different size than you originally started with for your crochet top. All right, I'll go ahead and finish the first few layers. Again, this is going to be the Daisy Princess themed from Super Mario Brothers Tutu, and we're also going to make an alternate version for you, so stay tuned for that. Now, one thing you may be wondering is where to start. Okay, now again, it's going to be based on how many layers, and that'll tell you where you want to start. But you don't have to start at the very bottom or right before the bottom. Okay, you can start up here, the third or fourth hole, entirely up to you. This is going to have several layers, so I want to make sure that there's plenty of room because we're going to add some embellishment to the top as well. As to what, I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not sure if I have any daisy flowers. There we go. There we go. Gently tug, and I'll keep going from there. But I wanted to make sure you were able to see what I was doing. The lighting's not as good as I thought it was. Alright, I have cut my shimmering yellow tulle, and that's all done. And now we've done the shimmering orange tulle. Again, this is our Princess Daisy inspired tutu, and we've got another one that we're going to do as well for this. A little bit different with some couture tulle. Alright, so I've got all that. This is only 3 layers. You can add more layers. There's plenty of room on your crochet top. This will fit my good amount of ages, you know. Okay, so what I've done here, I'm going to show you on the other side. I've kind of gone to the side, and I've used my mannequin to kind of, there's a line here to kind of gauge where I'm supposed to put it. You know, just be as, eyeball it as well as you can. Okay, so we're putting 2 pieces of tulle per tulle spot. And the reason for that is because we want it to be able to poof out once it's all said and done. So let's go ahead and do the placement real quick. And what I've done to make it faster is I've put where my starting point is so you don't have to wait on me to count every single time. Alright, so I'm taking 2 pieces of tulle, and this again is the shimmering or glimmer, depending on where you're buying it from, shiny, premium, orange tulle. Alright, so I'm going to bring this down. No. Put that back up here. Get closer to you. Oh, shit. Why did I do that? Okay. Let's hope I do this right. If not, hey, I won't tighten it too much so that way if you make a mistake like I just did, putting the piece of tulle that was supposed to be where I started at and lost it, we can take it out. So I'm just going to barely slip knot it. Okay, but it's 2 pieces of tulle. And you want to make your slip knots really nice, but again, we're just going to eyeball it for right now, not make it too tight because I might have to take it off. And we're doing 6 pieces. You can do 12, 8, whatever. It's basically how wide you want the poofy part where it looks like a princess. Okay. And you're going to do it just right above, can you see? You're going to do it right above the last tulle placement that you did, the last layer you did. My puppies are having their dinner. Actually, one is, and the other one is giving up. This you guys know how to do. You can review the tutorial, and it'll show you also the slip knot method. But I'm just going to hurry up and place this, because this is 2 pieces of tulle, fold it over, squish that top part so you can maneuver it more easily through the crochet hole. Pull out enough so that you can use at least a finger to bring your tails through without all kinds of issue. One of the things that you might run into is the other tulle trying to get into your new slip knot. Just keep pushing it down. Or use your fabric softener and good water solution to help with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No! And I just jacked up my slip knot. And since this is the top layer, it's noticeable. Just kind of push it in there. That looks fine. I'm using a smaller mannequin and I usually don't do that. One way that you can make this easier on yourself instead of like I did is go from the back and do your counting from the seam on each side, and then that way you'll have a more precise placement. I think I eyeballed it a little bit too much on mine, but that's why it's a tutorial. Don't make my mistakes. Does that look about even? And now some people leave it like this where it's just out. I don't, but you could. Does that look about even? I can't see from here.
Looks like that one has one more than that.
Which one? Well, hold on, let me.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah. My seam was more over here, and it still is a little bit. Okay. So again, if you say, let me show you the back. If you go ahead and do it the right way, go from the seam, okay, and then count where you want to start, and then use the same amount of holes on the opposite side and start at the same. Oh, I just made this so difficult. From the seam, count where you're going to start, and then make sure you count from where you're going to start on the opposite side. So basically you're just going to have an even number of crocheted holes on each side where you start and where you finish. I hope that made some sense. I'm having one of those days. Okay, so some people leave it like this. I think it's unfinished, so we're not going to do that. We're going to pick up our pieces. We're going to use some organza ribbon, but you can use satin ribbon too. Can you push that to me, please? You can either use the yellow or you could use orange, so it kind of just blends in. So I'll show you one of each color. And just cut you a strip, depending on if you want this to be real noticeable or if you just kind of want it to not appear like it's there. It's going to determine, first off, the color you choose and how much ribbon you're going to use. All right, so kind of brush it all down. Okay, you're gonna get a good firm grip. Woo! I'm telling you, if my head wasn't attached, guys, I'd be making this video headless. All right, now make your bow And like I've saying in almost all my videos that take bows, you're going to do a heck of a lot better job than I am. Because apparently I suck at bows. Unless I like really, really concentrate and take hours upon hours. And we're trying to get this video done so y'all can see it and do it yourselves. Alright, now this is where you take your upper part. Also, you can use a rubber band instead in place of the ribbon that you're making. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you're just going to pull it out as wide as you want it. Alright, so once you've made your bow, or you could, like I said, you can use like a clear rubber band or whatnot. Basically, it's just bunching them all together. You're going to poof it out and kind of pull your tool pieces apart, just so that way you make that poofiness that you need to make it look like a princess dress. And since I'm doing it sideways, yours will look better. So let's show you one more time. Hope I can see where it's messed up. If you're doing an event, you can put like some paper or plastic bags the night before, and it'll keep it more poofy, and then lightly hairspray it. Okay. So again, we're going to take it and make sure we don't have the yellow with us. Pull that down. Comb it with your fingers. And now I'm going to show you with the orange. Now this is sheer organza. Look, I just said don't keep the yellow with it, and I got some. Dadgummit. Go away. Right. So you want it to be tight, but not too tight, because you want to be able to pull your tool out to make it poofy. See, now we're gonna and the amount you pull it apart is going to be based on the width that you want and the poofiness you want. The yellow tool wants to be a part of it. Now, you may not see it very well because I'm trying to make sure they're about even. No. Like I said, you can make it poofier and all of that. Also, we're going to put a daisy or something like that right here in the center. You can make some straps. There's all kinds of fun things. So I'll show you the very end result in some photos. But that's all there is to it. You basically take... Oh, one thing I did not mention was that when you are making your sides, you know, the orange, go ahead and add a few extra inches to your length when you're cutting your tool, and the reason is because you're poofing it out, so it's going to be shorter. So I actually added 4 extra inches. Anyway, the more you play with it, the more I mess it up, but the more you play with it, it'll probably be fine. But it's just spreading it out to as poofy as you want. Alright, well here we go. Like I said, you can make this more poofy, you can make it less, all of that, and I'm holding the video camera so it's a little off center, but you can use ribbon instead of the shiny tool. And then we've got a little daisy here, and again, this is our version, our one version of the Princess Daisy tutu dress inspired by Super Mario Brothers. And let me show you what is coming next. And we're going to make another one like I said. Look at that. And you can poof it out more, especially the yellow tool. But I don't have a lot of space right here, so I didn't want to poof it out too much. Alright, this is going to be our second version. You see the first version here. And this one is going to be used with the yellow shimmering tool. And then we're going to create the top layer to be cost effective with this beautiful daisy flocked yellow tool. And see if you like this version as well for the Princess Daisy tutu. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you liked our channel, please subscribe. And remember to share, share, share. Anything you create is going to be fantastic. Why? Because you took the time to create it. From my family to yours, have a blessed day. And thank you so much for your continued support.
That looks so cool with the daisy.